Hello, this is Steve with Taking It Slow. Now today I got a problem with my wastegate, in particular my black. It doesn't close all the way. Now 7 months ago, I had this thing put on. When we acquired this as a used rig, we acquired it. Both of the valves, the gray and right here and the black, they both were leaking, so they put brand new valves in. But now this one here, for the last month I've not been able to get it totally closed, so therefore it leaks a little bit. It won't totally seal. And then last week when we did it, because it did leak enough, when I pulled to do a dump of the tank, most of the liquid had fallen out. It was more of the solids, so it didn't flow well, and it caused some trouble getting this thing dumped and flushed. So I said enough, went out and we got another waste valve. It's over here. Wasn't thinking when I did it. It's not a Valero, but it's a Camco, and Camco specifies it is compatible because it has to match up with the flange here that it bolts into, because these things are just going to come out partially. So so since I can't get this thing to close all the way, and being I got a macerator pump, I even tried to do the trick of just pulling it out a little bit to make that water try to vortex around to see if it would flush out that little track that the blade goes into. It did not solve the issue. Still got better, but it still didn't resolve the issue. So so we're going to be pulling out that valve and putting in a new valve. Comes with seals. This is not going to be fun. Two of the bolts are not bad to get to. One is not horrible, not nice, but the top back one all the way in the back is not going to be fun at all to get to. So I won't be able to I can't imagine being able to video record this as I'm trying to pull those bolts out, get them all out, or even trying to hopefully we'll have to see how easily these parts separate, how well I can spread them to get this blade to come out, because there's a O-ring seal on both sides of it, and not so much when you take this one out, but when you put the new one in, you want those seals to stay in place, or you're just going to have a problem. So we'll see how this thing goes, and I'm going to be back here in a minute to continue. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and finish pulling this apart. I pulled off the nuts that are holding this on, because I got to get the macerator out of the way so I can go ahead and get a little more room to work into there. Because this was back in here, I went and got a strap tool so I could go ahead and grab it and pull that part, get these things separated, because that was locked in there. My hand, there was no way I could move it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out of the way, and we'll get this taken care of. Get that as much out of the way as we can get it, put it that way. So let me go ahead and I'll get that moved, and we'll keep going. Okay, I have the pump out. The tool really worked on helping loosening that. I picked it up off the bolts. You can see the bolts I have. They're overly long, yes, but it's what I had, so I used that when I put the macerator pump in. Having the wires loose and all that worked out quite well, because now the pump is just laying out here, the fitting. And I do have the black tank open, might as well, and it's a very light drip. But I've already flushed this thing out thoroughly, where I was only getting clean water, back up, clear water coming out of it. There's no such thing as clean water coming out of a black tank. That was a Freudian. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead now and remove the 4 bolts. I'll struggle with them, and we'll pick it up from there when I'm done. Okay, so now I have the bolt out. You can see the flange there is loose. I've actually laid the bolts over here so they're out of the way. And just as I was saying, that one up there in the back, I'm gonna have to figure out what I got to do to get this back together, because that nut, it was very, very difficult So now I'm going to go ahead and see just how well I can go ahead and pull this apart, because I don't know, we'll find out. Is there much room here for this thing to, and there's not. So it's going to take a couple of hands and some prying to see what I can do to get this valve out of here. It is in here and is in here very tight. Nothing's given. So let me go ahead and we'll go from there, and I'll get back. So now he may want to look away, but I got the gate out, and I'm going to show the issue. If you look right in there, you can see what it got built up inside that, so it wouldn't close. And the problem is, like, you know, this here is too small to try to reach up in there and use anything to try to clean that groove out while it's in there. It's only 3 inches, which would be the idealistic thing. If you could, then you could have just go ahead and that could have been cleaned out, could have been done. But it came out extremely difficult. So putting this in, like I said, that wasn't too bad because, well, it was difficult, but because I didn't have to care about the gaskets, the seals, the O-rings. Putting it back in, I do have to now. And this is going to be a real pain, because there's very little movement here to try to get this thing done and done right. So right now I'm going to go ahead and get a towel and clean up the in between these two here. Get that all cleaned up with the paper towels, and get that ready for the new one to go on. So I'll keep you posted. Okay, so we're back recording. There was no, tried to put them together, that didn't work. But I did find those clamps that were on there that I mentioned here. And there was on the one on the gray tank too. Yes, I got to do a good flush, I guess. Allowed this whole mechanism here to come out. So now it's going to be much easier to actually bolt that together. You know, put it together. This is the other piece here. It'll slide in. Once I get it all bolted together, this will go in, and then that one will go in. Put the banjos, and it solves the issue. Much easier way of doing it. Of chaining these out. I kind of wish I'd have known that, because doing this from this side, I would have been able to see the groove on this and would have been able to clean it out, and then just push the whole mechanism back in. But just 2 clamps. Well, yeah, and the pump would have had to come out too. So I'm going to go ahead and put this together now. Okay, so the valve went back together. There's the valve. There's the flange I was referring to earlier. And it goes the other one. The clamps. The one is sitting right here yet, and the other one's here. So if you're going to be swapping these out, you got to do it by all means. Pull those clamps. It comes out of there so doggone easy when they're out. It's ridiculous. And then once it's out, then of course it becomes very easy to do it. Let alone the fact now that if I'd known that, you know, like I said, I could have went inside here, would have seen it, because the valve is very easy to see the inside of now. Right there it is. I've cleaned that out, unjammed it, and used a valve that was 8, maybe 9 months old, and then life would have been good. So now it's just a matter, I'm going to go ahead and slip these 2 back in. Again, I'll need 2 hands for that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll pause that while I put these 2 back together. Okay, so I wanted to give you an update. A little bit of work. I was able to get this one slid in, not an issue. But when that's in, this here, the fitting was actually sitting over here, and I couldn't flex it enough. So I turned around and went ahead and loosened these up, almost taking them completely off. Once you do that, then this piece here would flex enough and is now slipped in. So it is now also in. I don't have the clamp tights yet. I haven't tightened these bolts down, but just loosen them up. You don't need to take them all the way off, because you'll get enough being able to bend this enough with that little bit of there that this now will slide right in. Once that's done, then go ahead and we'll get this realigned where it needs to be down. Yeah, those are already tightened. I just got the banjo back here on the back side here to tighten up. These 4 bolts now, and that clamp right there. Again, I'll have this fitting down, and I'll put the macerator back in, and I should have us good to go. Okay, I have managed to put it all back together. Considering what I know now about that, with them on my particular rig, and having those clamps over there, and how to do this, probably 30 minutes maybe, and I could have this done and done. Swap out the valve, but also now knowing that when that valve jams up, I don't have to do all that. I can just remove my macerator pump, remove this from where she's setting, and because then I can reach in from this side when that thing is out and see, you know, the workings on a valve. This is the one I put in as a Camco. It is compatible, you know, with these models. Laura, I think is how you pronounce it. Camco does have negative comments, because when you open it up, there's a groove all the way around, because it's where it seals. Where in this particular one, there is no groove, and you actually see daylight, but the seal actually fills in that void. The thing I found on these I don't like is, let me open this back up, because you had seen that debris had got caught up inside of here. Well, I went and cleaned it out to see what was going on, and it's just, what I found out is just not there. That opening, that pocket in that sleeve where the door comes in, this thing is all the way back to this corner. And in my particular case, it was completely packed up. Toilet paper was in there, and we try to use the RV Safe toilet. It dissolves, but I'm curious if we might have missed it one time, or in fact when they didn't dissolve and it got packed into that and then no longer can dissolve. But anyway, that's a thing to be concerned with. You know, like I said, this does not have a track in the middle on the side here. The Camco I put on does, but this has very large pockets down in here. These are all voids. Where that gate comes in, it does that little bit, but this part here and here, they're hollow pockets where things can get in there and get caught. So I guess no matter which valve you go with, there's going to be something that you like or don't, you know, or dislike about them. So then having to pick the one you want. But anyway, she's all back together. Doesn't leak. Everything works good. It was rather, like I said, if I with what I know now, if I have to do it again on this particular rig, 30 minutes I can have it done. On the 5th wheel I had before, the flangers were so far apart, I know I could have easily got enough flex and not had to do anywhere near what I did on this one. But anyway, we got her done. Got any questions or comments, please let me know. Have a great day.